Can you see my screen?
Hello and a warm welcome to the universe of SAP BTP in a nutshell. I am Tanya from the Global User Groups organization, and today's episode will focus on SAP Discovery Center with Lise Bornave. And with this, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Toros Alejan. Toros, over to you.
Thank you, Tanya. Welcome, everyone. My name is Toros the Legend. Thank you so much for joining us in the universe of SAP Business Technology Platform in a nutshell, episode 2. We have a great agenda lined up for you today. Our colleague, Lise Bornave, Vice President of SAP BTP Adoption Enablement, will be covering the SAP Discovery Center. He'll go into a little bit more detail as to what the Discovery Center is and how you can leverage it to help your organization. Before we get started, I just want to also let you know of our contact information. I will be sharing this and posting it in the chat for you guys to follow up with us if you have any additional questions after the session is over. And then before we also get started, I just also want to let you guys know of some other events that we've currently have planned. 2 companion series that have blossomed from the universe of SAP BTP in a nutshell, starting on February the 8th, running to February the 22nd. How to leverage SAP Build low-code app development and automation. So this is one of the sessions that we're offering in the universe, but a little bit more of a deep dive, giving a little bit more context to the specific topics we'll be covering. And then starting on February the 9th and ending March the 23rd, a 7-episode series from no-code to pro-code, the right solution for everyone. Again, this is a companion series that's blossomed out of the universe of SAP BTP in a nutshell. Some of our on-site events on March the 14th, for those in the Madrid area, we have an on-site event that we'll be offering the SAP BTP customer forum in person. We have several others that are being planned. We'll let you know as soon as things get confirmed so that we can offer that to you and you can meet some of our topic experts in person. Also, as part of the Customer Value Network, you guys are all plugged in to our SAP Garage series. We're running episode 2 to actually tomorrow, February 1st, in 2 time zones, in the European and North American time zone, as well as the Asia Pacific time zone. Here, the Garage series basically is geared towards getting you started, giving you some hands-on enablement and expert guidance. Each of the episodes is going to be focused on one SAP Discovery Center mission. And we'll dive into those details with the specific topic experts. So if you're interested, I'll provide that link along with the other links in the chat as we move forward. And for those who don't know, we do run several other monthly forums. We've run the SAP Screen Personas Practitioners Forum every 3rd Wednesday, every 3rd Thursday, the SAP Fiori or UX Practitioners Forum. 3rd Tuesday of every month, we run the SAP Business Technology Platform, and the most recent addition to the Practitioners Forum is the SAP Build Process Automation Practitioners Forum. So if you want to join any of these, please do send me an email and I will send you the invite. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Nisboy. Nisboy?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Toros, for first of all inviting me and then the nice introduction. Let me start by sharing my screen. Yes, also a warm welcome from my side. Thank you for joining, and I'm happy to present you today the way how to unleash the power of SAP Business Technology Platform with the SAP Discovery Center. And as part of that, I want to, first of all, quickly reintroduce SAP BTP and throughout the session answer the 2 most common questions we get along SAP BTP. And that is, first of all, what is BTP and what can I do with that? Maybe, hopefully, not too much of a disappointment. I don't have too many slides for you. I want to mainly walk you through the Discovery Center and not completely give you the answers, but help you and show you how you can find all the answers yourself, because that is the power of SAP Discovery Center, because it really enables you to unleash the power of SAP BTP. But let's get started with the first question. What is SAP BTP? And starting off right away with the official answer, and the platform that brings together application development, automation, data management, analytics, planning, integration, and AI capabilities into one unified environment optimized for SAP applications. Wow, pretty long sentence, pretty hard to remember, I guess. But also it brings a lot of valid points, but as said, not really the right way to remember things. So therefore, maybe let's tackle that from a different point of view. And I also prefer to do it a bit more graphical. So let's come up to a more graphical visualization and also put SAP Business Technology Platform in the overall context. And the overall context is basically SAP talks a lot about intelligent, sustainable enterprises. So it's a bit about how businesses, how organizations are run, and how can we manage them and how can we improve them to run better. So therefore, typically what really runs our business are end-to-end processes. End-to-end processes we have for HR, we have for financial, we have them to create products, to produce them, to market them, to sell them, and so on. So many processes which we are running, which kind of then are typically the core asset of one specific company, which helps the company to run specifically and successfully. And in order to run all this, there's typically a lot of software involved, hopefully a lot of SAP software. So we have the S4 systems, we have the Ariba, we have the Fieldglass, we have success factors. So basically we have ERP systems, human capital management, and all these other terms. Often they stand as side by side, close to each other, but of course it is important that we can also connect them, leverage the power of them jointly to build upon the pieces and actually to have also processes which go across these elements. And that is one of the key powers of the Business Technology Platform, because it serves as a connecting element between all these various systems, making sure that the data is being integrated, aligned, consistent, and that the data flows where it needs to be. But that is only one part of the power of SAP Business Technology Platform, because what do you get with a system like that? You get what I would call best practices. You get best practices to run your business process. But what really help you best practices? I would assume that every company has a specific desire. Most of them we would like to become number one, and at least in our business, we want to become a market leader. But in order to become a market leader, you cannot simply follow best practices in all regards. You have to be at least in one specific area better than your competition, which typically means you have to go beyond best practices. And going beyond best practices is exactly what the Business Technology Platform allows you to do in addition, because it gives you certain capabilities which really help you to build up your specific use cases, which help you to differentiate from your competition and which are very specific to you. So for that, we dive a bit deeper into the Business Technology Platform, and we see, besides the integration, as we can see it here, there's of course this whole big area of application development, building something which is beyond the standard, where you can leverage data and capabilities and also process elements from your existing systems, but go specifically beyond that. Often automation is a very key element to run business processes very efficient. So therefore, that is also a key part. And once you're dealing with all this data and so on, of course, you want to be able to do analytics on that. How much are you using and so on, and getting all these analytics reporting out of that. And then, of course, these days, absolutely key requirement, artificial intelligence. Let's leverage that wherever it helps us to not only automate, but also optimize our overall business. So in a nutshell, coming from this long term, which I originally, the first sentence I introduced to you, now with this picture where we come back to the 5 key capabilities. What is SAP Business Technology Platform? And here I would like to re-simplify it again and make it extremely simple now. I'm therefore telling you SAP BTP is a platform for business and technology. And why am I saying that? Because when I talk to our customers, I see two key ways or two main journeys how our customers are leverage technology to boost up their business, to create additional values, which goes beyond the best practices. And the first way, the first journey they're doing, they're basically, they're solving business problems. So giving you a very specific example, when this whole COVID situation started, the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs called our board member Jürgen and asked for help, because we had German citizens stranded all over the world and the flights were not flying anymore. So we basically needed to organize the transport back there. And he said that was a very specific business problem. We actually were able to implement a solution within 24 hours, putting up a page live up there where people could register. And from there on, kind of the whole organization, the logistics started transporting them back in there. So that, of course, is a very specific, hopefully also unique problem. But also, when you go kind of into your business environment, what I hear often from our customers, that the line of business come with specific use case requirements. How can we do that? For example, now that we have more home office situation, how can we adjust the work and the workflow that it also works smoothly from home? So giving you just one example. So that is one way that you really have a very specific business problem. Might say, okay, this is what we need to solve. How can we do that? And then we come to the second way, and that is more technology driven. So here we often see the IT people, the enterprise architects or other architects who look at the technical capabilities. I often call them the Lego brick builders, because they basically take the pieces apart and reassemble them to think, what can they actually build on top of their existing environment and create additional business value? And that is exactly the second way, looking at technical pieces. What can you build out of that, which helps your business to run better? And those are actually two elements which I want to deeper introduce you today to. The first one being what we call a mission. A mission is a use case plus. So first of all, it's describing what a use case is. So what is the business scenario? What's the business value behind it? Plus, and some people call it like automated, repeatable, and so on, but giving you all the detailed information you need in order to realize that specific use case in your environment. And I will show you and guide you all in detail on how you can leverage these missions in order to also increase and improve your business. And then on the other hand, think of the Lego bricks here, we have the technical services on SAP's Business Technology Platform. So all these technical pieces with all their properties, their capabilities, and therefore we offer you all the information you need to have in order to understand what can you do, how can you use them, and how do you implement them. And with that, we are already pretty much to what I want to show you mainly today, because we are nearly kind of derived the start screen of the SAP Discovery Center. And if you want to try it out yourself, the URL is fairly simple, discovery-center.cloud.sap, or simply Google for SAP Discovery Center, and there you will quickly find that. So with that, let me stop with the slides and show you directly, guide you directly through the SAP Discovery Center. And here we have it. So this is the start screen. And as just introduced, the two main start points are the missions and the services. And for both, we have catalogs. So when I jump to the mission catalog, we will actually see a long list of missions. Sorry, I prepared that a bit too long ago, so therefore I took a time until the screen is refreshed. But now we currently have 177 missions available. And I will, of course, go closer to the missions, but how do you find the right mission? And on the left-hand side, you find these various categories, all new and featured. Of course, we do that there, but then also looking into kind of the platform capabilities like application development, automation, artificial intelligence, extended planning and analytics, integration, onboarding, and so on. So there are a couple of categories where you can actually go deeper into. Or on top of this whole catalog, we have our filters available. So you could also browse by focus topics if you're looking for specific use cases or for a specific industry. So you will find here also industry specific ones. You will find one specific to line of businesses, for example. So let's pick here the HR area, for example, then. But then you would also have the option also to look for specific products, like if you want to extend HR or other capabilities here. So we'd have these also available. So I picked now the LOB, the line of business, human resources, and you see, yes, there's some human resources specific missions or use cases, create a custom mobile app to extend HR capabilities here, build success factors extensions, of course, calculate employee seniority with event-driven extensions. That could be a very interesting one. So if you want to understand what that is about, we simply click on that and actually get the first introduction of what this use case is about. And this use case actually manages complex seniority scenarios that impact human resources, especially the employee benefits or the employee payroll. And it's basically building an extension that can automatically apply rules to determine the seniority, to reduce workloads on the HR team, and so on. So therefore, first description, then also, okay, what is the challenge? How does the solution look like, and how is the outcome? So this is all described from a sense. I don't want to talk about this business use case too much here. Basically, give you the idea. What many people use very intensively is this, what we call the solution or architectural diagram, because it also gives you a good glimpse of what are the key elements and also how it would fit or extend your landscape. So for example, in this case, we would have the success factors in place, connect that with REST-based and OData to the business technology platform, and there we would leverage HANA Cloud, Event Mesh, would use the Cloud Foundry runtime, and so on and so on. So we have all these capabilities available. Next, what people often ask is, that sounds interesting. Have other customers done it before? Is there something I can learn from it, or has it successfully done? So therefore, under customer stories, you typically find customers who are also willingly to openly talk about kind of their specific implementation here. So in this case, American Airlines, they've done it. And if you want to read the full story, it's directly linked here as well. Then next, you find all the details. What are the technical components you require? So the event mesh, basically you can is already indicated, of course, from the solution diagram, but here it is nicely listed. And by clicking on that, which I will do later, you will find all the detail on the specific services. Now that is the use case as such, but I was talking that we have a use case plus available. So therefore, what is this plus? So it's not just customer stories here, but the key element is what we call a project board. And the project board is really a step-by-step guidance. You actually see here in this example, 6 phases where you guide you through each step by step and really help you to implement that and also adjust it and adapt it to your specific needs. So in the discover phase, first of all, explaining what this is roughly about, what you're going to do. Then you need to set up, make sure that the prerequisites are fulfilled. You need to set up the basic entities in the technology platform, like the accounts, and then you, for example, configure the specific part, leveraging the Business Application Studio, and so on and so on. If you're getting stuck with that and have also kind of need help for that, we have under support also support for you available. So first of all, you can exchange yourself within the SAP community. So we direct you to the link you to the right area within the community. And very often for most missions, the people who have actually written the communities, our mission experts, are also available in case you get stuck. You can directly contact them through the Discovery Center and running that mission. Running that mission requires you to start the mission. But I'll come to that in a second, because for that, I also want to show you how you really get started. So therefore, let's get back to this overall mission catalog. And in the mission catalog, as we saw before, 177 missions. So probably the next question is, where do I start? What would be a good mission to start with? And here I would recommend you to look at the so-called onboarding missions. And with the onboarding missions, we have by accident, actually, or not by accident, also 10 missions available. The first one, you see also the most popular mission here, getting started with SAP BTP enterprise accounts, which tells you how to set up BTP, set up your account structure and so on, which is a good necessity because that really helps you to better distribute also the load and the costs later on. Also, a good mission to start is getting started with Discovery Center missions. However, if you're listening to this session today, you probably don't need that anymore. And then there are more and more sessions available. But I would pick here kind of a very simple Hello World example. So in this example, it's very simple. And here, again, the solution diagram helps me a lot, because in the end, what does this mission show you? It basically shows you how to create a UI5 application with the Business Application Studio, a very simple one, deploy it through the Launchpad and then test that out. So really getting a first experience, kind of what are the key components and how do I work with the Business Technology Platform. So therefore, I want to start this session, this mission now. Starting a mission is completely free of charge. You need to have a user in place, which is also fairly easy to get. And once we start the mission, you get a personal copy of this mission. So therefore, you can also adjust and tweak it to your specific needs, which is also a big advantage. So then, of course, as said, kind of the big beef is in the project board. And now I can also click here and actually find all the details and see kind of in the first card, what would I need to do? Once you have done that, you can mark it as completed, and then you get kind of the next steps. So nicely laid out, you really are being guided step by step through all the specific cards and elements you have here. So you see also the progress is being tracked. So kind of if you leave the mission, if you have to do work, you can kind of catch up later where you left your mission. So you have all these capabilities here. And with that, I actually want to quickly leave the room of Discovery Center missions and come to the second approach I was also talking to you, and that is looking at our Lego brick builders here and how do they approach that. And for them, I typically see them starting in the service catalog. So let's have a look at the service catalog. And in the service catalog, we find all the available BTP services. Right now, it's 95 services available here. And again, very similar approach. To the left-hand side, we have our categories, all new and featured. There's a nice one, always free and free tier services. I'll come to that in a second. But before, also kind of the solutions, application development, automation. We had that before, very similar to also to the missions, planning, extensions, foundation, cross services, integration, but then also capability, DevOps, often very important, mobile, Internet of Things, security, user experience, also a very popular one. Here, we also have filters available. So here in that case, different filters, of course, because depending on the licensing model your licensing might be, you want to look at kind of what services are available for your specific license, the Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement, CPA, for example, pay-as-you-go, or the classical subscription example, or very simple trial is also one. But also looking at the provider. Are you looking for SAP Data Center or one of our partners and friends from the hyperscalers available? The region aspect, often also very important. And here there's, from what I think, a pretty nice feature there, that you cannot only select the regions by name, but we have also this map view, which also on one view you see kind of where are the data centers available, where SAP BTP services can be consumed. And from there you could pick kind of a specific data center also, which also later helps you to also fulfill your legal requirements. So picking out here a specific service here, I will, for example, dig deeper into the foundation service, and you find here a lot of services. Of course, yes, here application alert, bandwidth, a very important service here, Cloud Foundry runtime, of course, also another important one. And we also have the Kyma runtime. And the Kyma runtime is also a very basic service here. And it's, if you don't know what that is, it's a fully managed Kubernetes runtime. It's an open source, based on the open source process Kyma. And I don't want to talk about the Kyma runtime today, because now you know where to find all the details, because you find here the detailed descriptions. You have also some kind of images, pictures, like from, in this case, from our cockpit. You find here further descriptions. On the right-hand side, there's a link to the whole documentation about that. There are nice resources. What is the Kyma environment? Very recommended if you're interested in that, to look into that. Also tutorials and learnings. And if you're required to install that, also kind of what are certificates, which actually also make sure that the implementation is compliant. Of course, you're talking about professional software, which means there typically is a pricing tag to that. So you find here also fully transparent the whole pricing. So here, starting with the Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement, here is the standard pricing. And of course, of very high interest, what is the free model? In that case, that is not trial. Trial is in addition, but this is what was typically called free tier. And here are also kind of the limitation and explain kind of to what extent you could use this Kyma runtime in a free pricing model. Again, of course, there are also customer stories. So other customers who have leveraged, in this case, the Kyma runtime, and what was their experience, what have they built with that? And what I also often find questions, what is happening around that? Am I already there, or maybe I wait for the next quarter and so on? So we have here directly linked from the Roadmap Explorer all the details from the roadmap, and you find here for each service all the roadmap item directly. And now the last element, which I find extremely helpful, and also see many customers who actually start with the Textile Center, yes, but what can I really build with that? Which then kind of leads us back, which kind of closes the loop to the mission, because of course we have the relation from services to our use cases and missions. And here we find all the missions or the use cases, however you want to call it, which are leveraging the Kyma runtime there. So here are a couple of nice ones there. Let me pick like one to kind of give you another roundup of the Discovery Center and its missions here. So in this case, I picked a use case, create a better onboarding experience with electronic signatures. So that's a very nice use case. And actually 2-3 years ago, I was also benefiting very strongly from that. It was actually at the start of the COVID time, because it is a nice way, for example, if you are hiring new people and you cannot see them in person. So of course you're doing the interviews virtually, but typically following legal requirements, you need to sign the contract and the signature needs to be valid. So therefore, if you want to do this digital, we have here, and that's another important aspect, also integrated in this case, for example, a product from our partner DocuSign, which takes the whole digital signature, makes sure that that is compliant, legally compliant, and so on. And then we leverage SAP's Business Technology Platform to connect to the success factors. So success factors basically is triggering the event. We need to, in that case, for example, kind of need a signature for a new contract. Then a Kyma runtime is leveraged. There is this so-called Lambda application being built, which is put into the Kyma runtime, running in the container in the Business Technology Platform, and then leveraging the workflow with DocuSign to sign electronically the document, which is then kind of redeployed into SuccessFactors and stored there. So a very straightforward use case here again. And of course, there are also customers. There's customer story here available there. And we have the project port. And again, yes, starting the mission gives you access to all those details. Don't be shy about starting a mission. You can start as many as you want and you don't have to complete them. So kind of, I know also customers who actually go through this project board. Actually, they start here with these steps out there. And then at one point in time, which we also see then, probably learned enough to understand how it goes. And then also, of course, it's not always kind of one by one, the use case implemented always in the same notion, in the same way. So then people deviate, but they get their starting point, and in case kind of the need orientation, they come back and they find everything they need here. And also, as mentioned before, in case they get stuck, there is also the support available through community or mission expert and so on. So you have everything available here on one hand. There is one more thing which I would like to show you, and that is that you can also create a cost estimate. We are talking already about the pricing, but in this case here, for example, what I did here, first of all, we have this cost estimate available. And first of all, it's a Kyma runtime, and some default numbers are here. So Kyma runtime is a must-have, but yeah, it's not very expensive with €1 a month in this case. But then I thought a bit beyond and said, okay, I want to extend this use case a bit further, implementing also kind of fun advanced workflow capabilities, and therefore adding kind of this workflow management service here as well, which then adds up to my overall cost estimate, which I have here. I can further customize this estimate, and I can also, the nice thing is, I can download this estimate and I can also share it in exam. So therefore, we see many people as architects and other people who create these estimates and then download the estimate to get the approval and then start the project. So also helping you to smoother and quicker run and realize your specific use cases. Going back, there is one more thing which I would like to show you in the Discovery Center, and that is, actually two more things. There's one thing, there is once you started and then you are logged in, of course, you get what we would call a control center. So in this case, don't be frightened. I do that quite often here. So missions total 62, that is completely unrare and unrealistic in a productive environment. I'm testing a lot, but typically you would have a couple or like one or a couple of more missions. So you find kind of your estimates out there. So you have one central place where you find it all to go there. And one last element, which I want to also mention to you, who is creating that content? Because I think that's also important to understand. And I've said it between the line, but I want to make it a bit more explicit, because you see here what we call platform missions, partner missions, SAP Preferred Success, and SAP Cloud Competency. So the vast majority of missions are the so-called platform missions. So those are missions, in that case, 122 missions, which are created by SAP experts. So people employed, hired by SAP, which are product managers, product owners, developers, but also consultant and other experts. And for example, a very good group are our app house guys. Not sure if you heard about them. They run customer specific kind of, if you want to call it kind of role model project. And then they document them via a mission in the Discovery Center. So we have quite some sources here of experts who create these missions for us. Of course, we're also leveraging our broad partner network. So we have offered the opportunities for our partner. So in the case, if you're a partner and listening to this session, please feel invited. If you haven't contributed there, contact me, or you also find the information in the Discovery Center, and I can show you how you can participate and also create your content, create and offer your knowledge to our joint customers there. So therefore, and I think with partners is extremely powerful because they, of course, have additional knowledge which SAP does not have and really helps you to go beyond specific business processes and best practices there. And then we have, in case you have those agreement preferred success, cloud competencies, 2 more SAP groups who also offer their specific services, but they are very specific if you're on those offering, on this offering. Yes, so with that, I'm coming to the end of the demo part of my session. So let's come about to wrap it up. And for that, switching back to the slides. So a quick demo, and if you have some questions, we can easily and quickly jump back into the Discovery Center itself. But what was I just showing to you? So I showed you how to leverage the SAP Discovery Center with the 2 main entry points. Once the missions. Remember, missions are use cases plus, and now you know what the plus is about. It's about giving you the specific guidance and all the information you need in one single point that you can successfully not only realize that specific use case, but also how to deviate, how to adjust it to your specific needs and realize your specific requirement. And then we have, remember the Lego brick guys here, then on the service side, the service catalog with all the technical information available in one point, also relating back to use cases for use case examples, which can be built with that specific service. And here, of course, documented and further information can be also found through the customer stories for some of the missions, and also in the services, you see demo videos or direct link to demo capabilities. And we also have, and that is, of course, very powerful, these solution diagrams. There we will also have some news probably throughout the year for you regarding solution diagrams here. And then kind of the third element, which is also very well used when we look at the usage number, the overall area of pricing, and based on the pricing, create your specific cost estimate. So you can only kind of pick the services based on a use case. You could also handpick the services from the service catalog and say, okay, I need these 5 services, combine them, and also adjust them kind of also to your specific needs. Pick the license model in case you have any discount quotes and so on. You could also adjust it there. So with that, you could have also a fairly good kind of first impression of what would be the costs coming towards you. And of course, as mentioned, the real beef of that within the project board, the step-by-step guidance, which really helps you to follow through and also helps you to keep track where you are. There's one more element which I didn't show you, but of course, kind of, it's not just, as I said, you need to log on. You can invite more people from your company or partners or other people to collaborate on that mission. So they're all sharing and working on the same missions. So that is also, I think, a nice way of fostering collaboration here. And then also the support, last but definitely not least, we have the direct link to the specific area within the community. We very often have our mission experts being available and also happy and interested in kind of seeing and hearing how you're doing and where they can help you. And oft also kind of we have FAQ lists and also guided answers and questions and so on. So all these elements together is what you find in the one place, the SAP Discovery Center. So it's really that one place which helps you to get started and realize your specific requirements within SAP Business Technology Platform. And if you want to remember the URL, it's SAP, it's discovery-center.cloud.sap. So if you get the slides later on, you can also see it here. And there are more things. Oh, and I just noticed one more thing, which I told you I will show you, but I did not show you. This is about this kind of free services. So let's quickly jump back into that, because if you want to get started, of course, it's quite interested to know kind of what is available in which model. And here we have, I'm back into the service catalog now. So quickly showing you that again. I'm actually logged in. If you are not logged in, let me quickly sign out that you see how you would get it without a login. So it's an easier picture. So you go to the service catalog. And within the service catalog, you again find the 95 services. And here they're the always free and free tier services. So, and when you look at those services, those are already 55 services, which are either always free, meaning always free means you have already an SAP license with BTP. So that means you need a specific license, but you're not charged for them extrally because they are considered basic service, which you require anyway for most of the implementations you do. And then we have these free tier option, which help you to implement, for example, proof of concept in an already close to productive environment. But once you start using, so you can create your proof of concept, try it out, test it, also do some end user validation and so on, figure out if that's really fulfilling your specific needs. And if that is the case and you start using productively, from that point onwards, that is actually where you're then being charged. And of course, again, you find all this information here of the pricing under the tech pricing here for this one. Now I pick the ABAP environment. You again find here all the pricing models, and we see here also kind of the limitations if you want to use it in a free environment for your proof of concept. Yes, so all the key elements here at play. So I guess I can stop at this point in time and see if there are any open questions right now. I would be happy to answer.
So, give me a second, here we go. So yes, we do have questions. The first question is, do I go to SAP Discovery Center to discover more about S/4HANA, SuccessFactors, and Ariba capabilities? Or is it just for Business Technology Platform? What is the scope of the Discovery Center?
Yes, thank you. Very good question. So our key scope is SAP BTP. So we want to show you how to leverage SAP BTP. But of course, SAP BTP always is or makes most sense if you use it in combination with S/4HANA, SuccessFactors, Ariba, and all our other solutions. So by starting with that, you will learn a lot about S/4HANA and Ariba and SuccessFactors and so on, but you don't find the detailed examples. So when all the details on S4. So I always look at that. If you think about this use case framework with S4 and Ariba and SuccessFactors and all these elements, you get these best practices use cases. They are not part of that. It's really going beyond the standard. And that is where the Discovery Center helping you, because that is where the power of BTP lies.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Then there is a question, whether it's correct. In the mission getting started with SAP BTP ABAP environment, he is getting a cost estimate of 2,000 something euro per month. Is that correct, or is he doing something wrong?
Actually, on that regard, I would need to look at that. Typically, that data should be correct. If you have some questions or doubt about it, I would say let's take that offline. Send me an email, and we can also directly connect you. or if you're kind of running that mission starting, you could also directly connect to those experts. What we recommend anyway, besides the cost estimator, that you actually connect back with your account executive or whatever person you have there for the final pricing. So of course, kind of there can be also some other kind of important elements depending on your company specific situation.
Perfect. That's helpful. Now, we don't use success factors, I guess we can use the SAP HCM on-prem S/4HANA HR system and integrate with DocuSign via BTP. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is a very good question. And that is kind of not sure if I was clear enough. Of course, in these use cases and the missions kind of we describe kind of the default case. Now, I think that is a very good example. Now, if you don't have success factors, but still have kind of HR on premise or HR using the S4 part of that, typically it works very similar. Very often you also find it described within the project board if there are alternatives, how you connect them, or often it's very similar. And again, kind of in case, and if you don't find the information there, probably the community or the expert can easily and very quickly help you to do that. But that is exactly, and that makes a lot of sense here. Take them as inspiration, and there might be things in your environment specifically where you have a different environment, which you then need to set up slightly different. So all the information should be linked out there, but you want the use case to be slightly different. This always gives you a very good starting point, and typically by performing the first couple of steps, you already have a pretty good idea and understanding kind of how you also kind of can adjust it to your specific needs.
Great, thank you very much, Nisboy. So then the next question is, there are some missions that have an estimated cost. What is that cost come from?
Yes, so I probably, let's take very simply, I take just one sample mission here. So we have.
By the way, we've had a couple of comments that it's very difficult to read when you share your browser with the Discovery Center.
So I want to. So maybe the resolution was too high. Maybe this is better now. So hopefully it is now. So how do we create the cost estimate? So basically, and very simple, kind of in this case, we know what kind of services from BTP are required for this specific use case. So it's kind of the ABAP environment. There we have the cloud connector and the connectivity services, and then some optional component. So in this case, it's the ABAP environment. And then we have other optional components. And those are then basically taking into the estimator, and then when creating the mission, we give it some kind of default sizing, which seem to be kind of most sense for that mission. And that is kind of how you get kind of the starting point for the cost estimate specific for a mission. I hope that answers the question.
If not, just please rephrase, ask again. Much better now.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just as an FYI, I have put Nisboy's contact information in the chat. So if you guys want to reach out to him after this call, please do reach out to him. His contact information is there, along with Tanya's and myself. Also, just an FYI to the presentation material. I know it's sometimes for some people it's a little difficult to read, but we will be making the presentation material available. So just come check back on this site. There will be a link here to the main hub, which I've also included in the chat. So if you go, just scroll up a little bit, you'll see a link to the SAP Customer Value Network hub. That'll open up that specific location where all of these presentations, today's presentation, as well as all future presentations, will be located. Are there any other questions, Tanya?
Yes, we have one other question. Are there any current completed missions for a customer using EWM?
Actually, I don't know that by heart. So EWM. You can very simply look for that. Otherwise, probably phrase it a bit differently. Look for that, but that also brings me to another point. If you're missing a mission, there is, of course, also kind of get started about us and so on and the help center. So if you're missing a use cases, please also don't be shy, contact us. And especially if we have more and more customers asking for the same use cases, we are highly interested, and then also will also adjust accordingly. So we are also try to regularly interview customer user groups and so on. What are kind of the next use cases, the next mission we should build there? So in that case, absolutely would be absolutely not good for us to let us know if you are missing some content there.
So it would be an interesting exercise for everybody on the call. My question to everybody on the call is, maybe if you can just type in the chat, what is your most important use case that you're currently looking at? That might be an interesting exercise for you to type in the chat so that we get an idea of what's important to you, so that we can, it'll provide some guidance for us for the Garage series as well as for future webinars.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the SAP Garage series is actually also a very good hint, because in the Garage we really pick specific missions and kind of give you even more information on these specific missions, and do within 1 hour a pretty good analysis and kind of giving you a very good idea of what and how you can realize that specific mission.
And we have questions coming in, which is awesome. Thank you very much. So the next question is actually about them being updated. The missions, are these missions updated constantly? Because I'm seeing Web IDE instead of BAS in the web page you are showing.
Yeah, yes, also a very, very good question. Thank you for that. And yes, we are updating them regularly. So therefore, kind of when you see this overall number here of, sorry, I have to reboot there. Right now, I think we had 177 missions there. And so with that number is changing partly daily, because we're either creating new missions, but we're also taking missions back out and so on. So this is also happening there. So of course, we are regularly looking through that.
Perfect. Now, so the other question is, when doing a conversion project from ECC to S/4HANA, how could you leverage BTP?
Yeah, that is a very good question. I'm not the expert to answer that. I'm also not sure if we have a mission for that directly. I think that we should probably address in another forum there. So if you're interested in that, you as Toril said, kind of, we have our contact data here. So I would propose to reach out to us directly there, and then we can follow up on that.
Great, thank you very much. So what about the services which are retiring soon? Is it just rebranding or moving out the service away?
Yes, rebranding is at SAP. Yes, to be honest, we see that occasionally, but also, yes, there are also services which are retiring, and you also find actually this information in the Discovery Center. So here, for example, in the service catalog, we have this conversational AI or the document classification. You can see them clearly marked with retiring soon. So therefore, our recommendation is, if you're starting new, don't use that anymore. If you are kind of have already used it, then you will also find here the detailed information of kind of what are alternatives to move to, or how to migrate to a follow-up solution that is typically being found here.
Great, thank you. Now, can we have the existing developed integration content on SAP PO migrated to BTP with easy steps?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Can we have the existing developed integration content on SAP PO migrated to BTP with easy steps?
I mean, that is the question which can go fairly deep. My recommendation, if you want to learn how to do that, we have either under onboarding or, sorry, here right now on the part here, but also from the service catalog, we have a couple of missions which explain how to leverage the integration service, and also there are some migration moves there. So my recommendation would be to look either on the service catalog side to the integration side, or look at what those specific missions there, where you can either get specific guidance or other related information there.
Great, thank you. Then we have, does BTP run in the cloud, on-prem, or both? And if in the cloud, how does it connect to our on-prem S/4HANA database?
Yes, so also good and interesting question. No, SAP Business Technology Platform purely runs in the cloud. And we also see, of course, we often see what we would call kind of a hybrid landscape, that customers still have on-premise systems on there, being it ERP, for example, CRM or other solutions. And very often Business Technology Platform is kind of the way which also leads systems into the cloud. There are various ways of connecting BTP now with your specific systems there. There are many kind of cloud connectors, there are integration capabilities available. That is, for example, which you also find here in these kind of getting started missions, for example, or other capabilities. They always show you kind of what's the best way to connect your system, being it on-premise or being it cloud systems there. So that is typically nicely described in the specific use cases and missions.
Great, thank you. Then, are these missions created by SAP, our customers, or both?
Yes, very good question. I quickly elaborated before. So the question, the answer, the short answer is both. So SAP experts, partner experts, and that is, yeah, that's the answer. So SAP, we have like product management, we have product owner, development expert, but also I would like to kind of repeat our people from the up house who really kind of like role model projects there, who share their experience, also have a very good process knowledge on how to do that. We also have consultants and also kind of a customer executive engineers who also share the content. And then of course also partners. And again, if you're a partner and listening and interested in sharing also your content, please also reach out that we can get you set up and also leverage here, because it's a really both dimension. It's really a win-win situation here for us.
Great, thank you very much. Now, so with regards to the question on missions which are of interest, there is one common supply chain management missions, or missions linked or related to its modules are of interest.
Yeah, yes. So for those actually, and to find that not only for supply chain, I would actually, for example, look here, opening up the filter, and actually we also already get the feedback. So we'll probably, as said, our feedback is very important for us, but some people don't find the filter immediately. Yeah, so therefore, this is this kind of small filter icon here. And if you kind of here under the line of business, yeah, you also see like supply chain management, sales services. I picked the example of HR before, and that is how you can further nail it down or narrow it down to your specific missions you're looking for.
Right.
And then just as a sidebar to the supply chain, we did do a supply chain webinar last December. So if you're interested, if you go to the hub that I put the link to, you can find the recording for the supply chain management webinar that we did on December the 12th, I believe, last year.
That's great information. Also, Thors, for you, there's a question on how to subscribe to your Garage series.
Yes, so I did put in the chat. I did put the link, but let me put it again. Just give me 1 second. So if you want to register to the Garage series, you can click on this link here and register yourselves to the Garage series. Okay.
Thank you. Great. Then we have one last question about identity providers to authenticate users for Launchpad services. Is it possible to use simultaneous identity providers like SAP Credential and Azure Active Directory?
To be honest, I don't know that question out of my head. However, I know that we have a pretty good mission on the Launchpad, and we are just about to probably publish another one very soon about this whole notion of entry points and so on, where also those aspects will be kind of explained in more detail.
Great. So stay tuned. You will hear more about that. So far, I cannot identify any other question in the chat. So with this, Niesboy, thank you so much for your excellent presentation and for your time. And of course, last but not least, a big thanks to all participants for joining us, for asking those many questions, for being such active participants. Thank you for joining, and I hope to see you again next week.
Thank you also.
Yep.
I just wanted to remember that next week we have 3 sessions on related to BTP, and they are all in the chat. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Ganz wichtig.